From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Today, I am here with one of our many state legislators. I'm excited to be talking with Carlos González. He is our state representative from the 10th Hamden District. Mr. González, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you giving me some of your time. You're a busy man. There's a lot going on at the State House these days.
Well, this is very busy, but no better time to take a moment to stay in focus with Patrick Berry.
I love it. You're the first person to do that, so thank you very much. I love the way you did that. So I asked this of every elected official that sits across from me, but you've been in office long enough where the times have changed, but there's so much animosity now about our from the constituents to the politicians amongst each other. Why be in office? Why put yourself through all of that? Or do you just not see that in your district or here in our local Western Mass communities? Why put yourself out there like this?
Well, I did this years ago after many years of being requested to do so and not wanting to participate in politics, but yes, in government. And again, I served as the first Latino to serve as assistant to the mayor's office in the city of Springfield.
Mm-hmm. Which mayor was that on?
Mayor Albano.
Okay.
And that was one of the first times anybody has ever even seen a Latino person, particularly in the city of Springfield, that's growing in demographically.
Mm-hmm.
As with Latino members, and throughout the Western Mass region, I think I was one of the first, and very few in the state in general at that time. Yeah. So that sort of just introduced me further into government and how it can help people.
You got hooked.
And I got kind of hooked, but I never wanted to be in politics. So from there, I left, and I was sort of drawn into the political arena after Cheryl Coakley Rivera, who served in my capacity, left, and I was sort of recruited, told I should go for it, and I'm here today.
What do you like about being in a statewide elected office, and what don't you like about it? What are some of the positives and challenges that you face each day?
Well, after college, I served as a social worker with the Department of DCF and helping people. And I see my role today as no different than a social worker, community organizer, supporting people, finding people where they're at, assisting where they want to go, and helping them with a helping hand up instead of a handout. And I firmly believe in that. And that's where I think my best role and any legislator in the country today should be doing is helping people.
So do you spend a lot of your time sort of making those connections, or a constituent comes to you and says, hey, Representative González, I need to do this, and you and your staff find that solution for that person?
Absolutely. I think the number one call that we get to our office is assistance with housing, assistance
Everybody.
with, now it's growing in demand for assistance with unemployment. So we're seeing a higher unemployment assistance needed in the state and in my district. People losing jobs, people not being able to pay their bills, the high cost of goods,
affordability is facing us all.
Electricity, affordability, total word. And so we try to navigate and help them with the services that are already available, or try to look for resources that we can potentially help people through that difficult period in time.
So what are some of the challenges, that you just talked about, some of the benefits of the things you love about being in your office, in your seat? What are some of the challenges you face? Like maybe some of the things before you got elected, you said, all right, I'm going to do this, or whatever it might be, to, all right, this is harder than I thought it was going to be, or this is the walls I'm coming up against. What are some of the challenges you face in elected office?
Well, politics is the art of negotiation.
Exactly.
And I think you got to be a good negotiator, because we have 200 legislators that represent the whole state of Massachusetts. And we have to work collectively, collaboratively, and effectively. And when I say effectively, you got to be able to raise your voice, use your voice, but also challenge folks to make sure that like my responsibility, major responsibility, is to support City of Springfield.
Right. So do you think that it's, and this is a kind of a hard question because you've got nothing to compare it to, but do you think here in Massachusetts, because we are primarily a Democrat-led state, that it's easier to negotiate, or is it still just as hard because you've got somebody from Barnstable who has different ideas than somebody from Springfield or North Adams?
I think Massachusetts leads the country in being able to have a government that reflects what government was meant to be, that we do have different voices, but we're able in a civil way to argue those issues and to really try to get things across that make sense for the common person, right? We
Right.
always have extremes,
Of course.
but the
Right.
reality is we need education funding. We need to support public safety. We need to protect housing. There's so many issues that are so stated differently, but they're all the same in every state.
No matter, and every community across this state.
Absolutely.
We are up on our first commercial break. There's plenty more to talk about, so stay with us. We're back in just a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 22 News Plus studios for today's In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me, representing the 10th Hampden District for the state of Massachusetts, is Massachusetts State Representative Carlos González. Representative González, thank you so much for joining me. We talked a lot about your time on Beacon Hill and so forth, but there's an element of your past when you started the Latino Chamber of Commerce, if I've got that correct. Why?
I think coming out of government at the time, after serving with Mayor Albano as an aide to the mayor's office, I saw that Latinos are very entrepreneurial. Many of the programs that were impacting our communities or being selected to serve in our community were were basic programs that were social services. And I believe in social economic opportunities. And I believe in helping people help themselves and a hand-up approach instead of a handout approach. And I think that helps people get ahead.
Have you seen, and I'm guessing the answer is yes, but I don't know, significantly more Latinos starting their own businesses, becoming successful, and kind of feeding off of each other to become successful, maybe through the chamber, the Latino Chamber, or other organizations? Are there more Latinos out there as entrepreneurs?
Fastest growing startup businesses in the United States is Latino.
Really?
Led by women. And here in the city of Springfield, for years, has been reviewed and looked at as one of the capitals of micro businesses, people starting and growing their business. We had people that were on AFDC at the time when we started the chamber, and we helped guide them to become family daycare providers.
Wow.
From a $700-800 check a month to $700-800 making a week, taking care of business. People want these opportunities, but again, not everybody's going to go to college, get a degree, and become employed by somebody else. Right. And when you look at the statistics, Latinos in general, 68% of them rather go work for themselves than work for anybody else.
I love that. Entrepreneurism, I am a huge proponent of that. So whether it's the Latino Chamber of Commerce, SCORE, all those organizations that help people start businesses, I think they're wonderful organizations because there's 80% of Americans work for a small business or something like that. And I think small businesses classified as under 500 employees or less. But that's fantastic.
Yeah.
In your travels, are there types of businesses that Latinos focus on? Is it food? Is it service industry? Like consulting? Is there any particular type of business that Latinos are more interested in than others?
I think you see Latinos in all types of businesses. Obviously, you go to inner city, there's certain types of businesses. You'll see the restaurant owners, the hair salons, you'll see the nail salons, you'll see those types of businesses. But again, people are
things you can't do online.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you have people in the role of media,
Yeah.
starting their own media outlets and podcasts,
Right.
and as well as technology, construction,
Hmm.
housing development, real estate companies. There's just a majority of all types of businesses that Latino are expanding to, and not only
That's
in the
great.
service
Yeah.
industry, is in the provider industry. And I think people are trying to take approach that instead of being employees, they're employers.
I love it. It's interesting the the strong desire to be entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
That's a tough thing to do. I was an entrepreneur for about 8, 9 years. In one, I owned a business. It's hard. It's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do in your life, but it's the hardest thing
Toughest,
you'll ever do in your
absolutely.
life. Switching totally
Mhm.
off that topic,
Mhm.
talking about your district is fully encompassed within the city boundaries of Springfield. It's I'm going to pull up the map now. This is the 10th Hamden district. It looks like it basically hugs the Connecticut River from north end until probably close to the south end of Springfield, right?
Well, it goes further. It goes to the Long Meadow line.
Oh, it goes
So
all the way
yeah,
down
it
to Long
goes
Meadow. Oh,
all
okay.
the
So
way.
it's the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
entire.
yeah, yeah. It's a connection there. Yeah, yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
because you're solely within Springfield, do you have any concerns? Like, do you work with people outside of Springfield? Like, there's members of the state house that have districts that aren't solely within
Mhm.
one community. So how is it working with those members who are outside of Springfield? I'm thinking like Ludlow or Greenfield. I'm just arbitrarily throwing, you know, getting them to understand the needs of Springfield because Springfield is the economic epicenter of Western Mass.
Right.
So how do you work
Well,
with those folks?
I have served as vice chair of the Community Development and Small Business
Okay.
Committee. I've served as the chair of Public Safety and Homeland Security, and now I'm in a leadership position, and the only one in leadership position in Western Massachusetts. So it's critical and important that we work collaboratively in Western Mass. We have significantly less legislators in Western
Mm.
Massachusetts than the whole city of Boston in general,
Wow.
right? So we have to work collaboratively. So it's very important that, again, main interest, city of Springfield, but how goes Springfield goes Western Mass, and how
Right.
goes Western Mass has impacts in Springfield. So we have to make sure that the Berkshires are being represented as well, and work collaboratively with that delegation and the Franklin County and the Hamden County. And what's important in Holyoke is important to Chicopee. What's important to Chicopee is important to Westfield as well as in Springfield. So we have to work collaboration. So very important that we work collectively, but collaboratively.
It's funny you say that because that's the common theme I've heard from other representatives and
Mhm.
senators covering Western Mass is you all get along, you all have this same vision for what Western Mass should be like, and it's getting people east of Worcester to understand the needs of Western Mass, but you're all collectively have a one loud voice, at the state house.
We sure do. And I got to say, kudos to the delegation of Western Massachusetts. We are all significantly in positions of vice chairs or chairmanships and soon to be in those categories.
Good.
So those are important roles to have because not only you're a rep, you're in positions that can change policy, change legislation, impact legislation that impacts Western Massachusetts, particularly the funding aspects of it, which are very important.
The funding aspect is tough right now. I know, excuse me, a lot of our local communities are struggling with their municipal budgets,
Mhm.
because we talked about
Yeah,
affordability,
yeah.
costs keep going up, less funding from the state and less funding from the federal government, supporting the local communities. Even though your entire district is within Springfield, you must hear it from Mayor Sarno, you
Yeah.
must hear it from the city councilors,
Yeah.
but you're probably hearing it from,
All Western Mass mayors.
exactly.
And I think it's important that the state of Massachusetts gives more money to the federal government than we get back. I think that's important. And
Really?
most blue states give more money to the federal government to support red states. And I think that sometimes we lose that
I
effect.
didn't know that. Okay.
In Massachusetts was the only state that voted totally Democratic. And I'm not here to make a political statement. I'm just making a reality statement. The state of Massachusetts voted overwhelmingly for the Democratic candidate. Oklahoma voted overwhelmingly for the red states. We're the first in the nation in education. They're the last. We're the first in healthcare and affordability, and they're the last. So our policies are more effective for the people that we represent than many other states. So I think that's important. City of Springfield, we've in 2014, before I took office in 2015, they were making, the state was refunding the city of Springfield $301 million for their education funds. Today, they get over $500 million. That's because of the delegation and the continued InFocus of making sure that we bring resources where they're needed. The city of Springfield was facing some challenges, and every single year since I've been elected office, they have received more funding for education. To this day, $545 million of their overall $800 million that they have for their education fund.
Very good. We are up on our second commercial break. Please stay with us. Plenty more to talk about when we come back after this.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 22 News Plus studios for this edition of In Focus. I'm very excited today to be joined across the desk by Massachusetts 10th Hampden District State Representative Carlos González. Mr. González, thank you so very much for joining me. I appreciate it. It's been a great conversation getting to know a lot about you and your district and some of your thoughts. You did mention, we have mentioned affordability in the state and healthcare and so forth. Where do we stand as a Commonwealth on making healthcare more affordable for people?
Well, I think that when you look at what's happening with our hospitals, the loss of revenue that they're seeing, you have a balance of private hospitals opposed to hospitals that take in more people on Medicaid and Medicare. And when you have to sustain the cuts that are coming from the federal government, it's going to have an impact on us all. And Mercy Hospital is having challenges, as we know now. If we lose that hospital, they've already closed their birthing center, which means that Bay State is going to have to pick up where they left off. So more
pressure on Bay State
will have to be born in Bay State. But again, their birthing centers, and I just had the conversation with them yesterday, are older, not full to the capacity that they wanted. But we expect that there will be 11 children born at Bay State every single day for the next 365 days. That's a tough situation. So these impact on Medicaid cuts to provide billionaire tax cuts doesn't effectively work in inner cities or in rural areas who are even suffering worse than us today. Right. So we have to look at how we can, again, utilize everything possible in our toolkit on the state level to counter the cuts that are coming from the federal government.
And we've had hospitals across the state close for that reason. It's just they're not able to sustain themselves. So that, again, to your point, Mercy, fortunately, is still there, but just one element of theirs is not. But I think of some of those communities across the state where they've lost an entire hospital and the pressure that puts on other healthcare facilities.
And you see the challenges when you're cutting healthcare to provide tax breaks for billionaires. That's going to put a burden on emergency room, right? I won't go to see my general doctor. I'll have consequences of not taking care of my health, and then I'll end up in an emergency room. So that's going to have a double impact on our emergency rooms, which then who pays the bill? The taxpayer. So we are saving on not providing people healthcare benefits, and then we're paying for them double, if not triple, in the emergency rooms.
So have you presented any ideas on a possible change or adjustment to the current format for healthcare?
Well, I think as a collective group that are looking at ways, right? Healthcare for all is one way that can protect the high costs of healthcare rates. Also working in conjunction with the federal government to look at nationalizing to some degree the benefits of providing healthcare for all. Massachusetts has been a leader of that, right? We have 93% of people covered in healthcare. But how do we make it that the high costs of providing drugs to our individuals are not increased by PBMs, by health insurance companies, and really by the investors in these healthcare benefits? Because that's who people are supporting now. Before, 94% of all taxes was generated from billionaires and millionaires.
And that's not there anymore.
Now they only pay 27%, right? So that burden has been shifted to the layperson. That's why affordability is difficult.
Let's switch gears a little bit, because if I understand correctly, are you still on the Committee on Ethics?
Yes.
What does that committee do?
The committee basically looks at any allegations of ethics.
Hopefully you're not
findings.
that busy.
Hopefully not. Sometimes it is and somebody not. And those are additional committees that we serve on in addition to the leadership role that we have.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What other roles are you doing at the State House?
Committees, I have Human Resources Committee. I also serve on Operations Committee on Operations and Facility Security. And I think we have to make sure that, all our facilities have
absolutely
safety and whatnot. But more importantly, what I'm working on now is the immigration bill, PROTECT Act, which provides the 4th Amendment right to 14th Amendment right to everybody, that everybody has due process, regardless of your legal status or not, right?
Because again, if you're here illegally, it's just a misdemeanor. It's not a federal crime, right? It's just a misdemeanor.
Correct. It's a misdemeanor. But the fact of the matter is that we have 7 million people. People that are here not documented are only less than 2-3% of the population. So going after those folks in a way that's unlawful or unconstitutional is not sustainable to the benefits of what we call public safety, right? No person in this state government that I know of does not want or urge the fact of whether it's the federal government or state government to remove people that are doing crimes in our communities or have
those are the people
judicial warrants. They should go, right? But terrorizing
the college
kids,
student or the
college student,
the high school kid,
and I heard from companies yesterday that are suffering because construction companies that are saying we don't have the same staff that we had before. It's going to take us 9 months to build a home instead of 4 months, and that's what's changing in America today. Is not only in Massachusetts but across the country, and I think we can do a PROTECT Act that just provides due process. If federal government or a judge has provided a judicial warrant, sure, let's do that.
But just to randomly scoop people up just makes no sense.
So we're trying to work with our colleagues. We've met with every law enforcement association and agency. We've met with DAs. We've met with judges. We've met with folks on both sides of the aisle, those who want extreme protections and those who don't want any protection. And we're trying to come to a medium where we can all agree on that. We just want to make sure that the constitutional rights afforded by the Constitution of the United States of America are afforded to every single person in America, and we'll be comfortable.
Fantastic. Perfect timing, because we have reached our time limit. Representative González, thank you so very much for joining me today. Wonderful getting to know you and hearing about all the great things you're doing at the State House. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be in InFocus, and I look forward to coming back.
Absolutely. We'll get you back in the hot chair.
Much success in your podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.